We're going to go get started. My name is Aaron Kurlander. I'm the Director of Business Services at the Greater Jamaica Development Corporation. We're a contract partner of the City of New York. This presentation is made possible by the City of New York, the New York City Department of Small Business Services, Business Solution Centers. And our topic today is applying for loans and grants for New York City small businesses. The New York City Department of Small Businesses helps unlock economic potential and create economic security for all New Yorkers by connecting New Yorkers to good jobs, creating stronger businesses, and building thriving neighborhoods across the 5 boroughs. The Department of Small Businesses, SBS, is really there to be small businesses' lifeblood, to help them thrive here in New York and grow. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the kinds of services we could offer to help you do that. These are the full breadth of services offered by SBS and the Business Solution Centers. And it reads everything from business courses and incentives to training, MWBE certification, recruitment. But specifically today, we're going to talk about financing and grants for your businesses. So that's the subject matter of today. But just know that there are many more parts of the services that could be offered. So the idea today is to talk about loans, grants, anything from the state, the federal government, local government, private funds. We're going to talk about helping you prepare your applications, how you're going to calculate those applications and the repayments of those. We'll help address any questions you may have, and if need be, sign up for one-on-one assistance. And we're going to share this presentation, so you don't have to worry about jotting too much down. So I'm going to start out with an overview of the programs that are out there. You may have heard some of these agencies before, some of these organizations before, you may have not, but all of them are out there and offering assistance to small businesses. Sba Loans, these are loans that are backed by the federal government. Sba stands for the Small Business Administration, and they have a variety of loans during traditional times. During COVID, they also have the Eidl, or Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, which we're going to talk about. And there are some other provisions that apply to those federal backed loans that we'll get into. And then there are private loans. When we say private, we don't necessarily mean going to Chase or Citibank. We're talking more about alternative CDFI type lenders, community-based lenders, and we'll talk a little bit about those. And then we're going to talk about grants. I think we'll start off with grants, actually, because there are some new programs out there that we should let folks know about. And then there are some city loan-based funding. There's the We Crowd, We Growth, and then they're just connecting you with financing for a contract. This is a really exciting program. It was last launched just a few days ago. It's the New York State Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program, and this program could provide grants of anywhere between $5,000 and $50,000 to businesses. There are some caveats. I'm just going to run through the specifics of this program. It's only for for-profit businesses, but it does include for-profit cultural businesses as well. You had to have been in operation before March 1st of 2019. You had to have gross receipts of between $25,000 and $500,000 per year in 2019 or 2020. So the real world implication is that you could have had $550,000 in 2019, but if you only had $450,000 in 2020, you would still qualify. You have to demonstrate positive net profit on your 2019 tax returns. That means that in 2019, you have to have made at least $1 on your tax returns. You have to have showed a profit of $1 on your tax returns. You have to demonstrate that total expenses in 2020 are greater than the grant amount. So if you were going to qualify for a $10,000 grant, but you didn't have eligible expenses in excess of $10,000, then you wouldn't be able to. They wouldn't be eligible for this. So they want to see that you had $20,000 or $100,000 in expenses, and yet you're only going to get a $10,000 or $20,000 grant. And then you have to demonstrate a loss. They want to see a 25% drop in revenue between 2019 and 2020. So if your business was just as good in 2020 as it was in 2019, then this program is not for you. But if your business did have a 25% drop off, then you would be eligible for it. They are requiring you to be in compliance with all federal, state, and local rules, regulations, and codes. This program will be providing priority to socially and economically disadvantaged business owners, and it's going to be based on demographics and census tract data. So here's how it breaks down what your award would be. Gross annual sales of between $25,000 and $49,999 would be eligible for a $5,000 award. Annual gross receipts of between $50,000 and $99,999 would be eligible for an award of $10,000. Once you exceed $100,000 or more, then it will just be based on 10% of your gross receipts with a maximum of $50,000. It's a grant. You could use it to pay payroll, rent, mortgage, taxes, utilities, PPE, protective equipment, all those types of expenses that were incurred between March 1st, 2020 and April 1st, 2021. Application is now open. The website is NYC Small Business Recovery.com, and it's an online application process. It just opened. It's not a first come, first serve application like some of these others have been, but there will be a window. You'd want to think about getting your application in the next few weeks. And then, like I said, they will be giving priority to this grant program. So, don't hesitate to get it in, but it doesn't have to be in tomorrow. Some other caveats for this program. You cannot have had any owed back taxes prior to July 15, 2020. So, meaning if you had tax liens or anything like that that existed prior to July 15, 2020, then you don't qualify. But if you're in a payment plan, you do. So if you're in a plan to pay back those taxes, then that's fine. You'd be eligible. And then the next level of qualification is these programs overall are targeted for smaller businesses. So another level of qualifying activity would say that if you've already received a Paycheck Protection Program loan, which is often called the PPP, of over $100,000, then you would not qualify. So $100,000 or less, yes. And that includes adding up PPP1 and PPP2 or whatever you want to call it. So if you receive PPP assistance, a total of PPP assistance of less than $100,000, then this program can still work for you. If you got an Eidl advance grant of $10,000 or less, then you can still get. If you got more than $10,000 grant, not the loan part, but the grant, then you could still apply. Again, $10,000 or less. And then if you got a supplemental targeted advance loan of $5,000 or less, you could still qualify for this. If you received the SBA Shuttered Venue Operations Grant of $150,000 or less, you could still qualify. So again, PPP, $100,000 or less, Eidl Advance, $10,000 or less, Eidl Supplemental, $5,000 or less, SBA Shuttered Venue, $150,000 or less. If you answer yes to those questions, then you're eligible to apply for this program. Who's ineligible? Nonprofits. This is not a program for nonprofits. Churches or other religious institutions are not eligible. Government entities are not eligible. Businesses primarily engaged in political lobbying are not eligible. And then businesses that have received an award from the SBA Restaurant Revitalization Fund grant program, are not eligible either. So keep that in mind. If you're a restaurant and you applied for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund program and you got an award, you're not eligible. If you did not get an award, then you are eligible. So if you have not heard from them yet, then you could go ahead and apply for this program. The only thing to keep in mind is as time goes by, if you do get an award, then it would make you ineligible for this program if that award comes in prior to you being granted this grant. So what are you going to need for this program? You're going to need to have filed your 2019 and 2020 business income tax returns. You're going to need to prove your location, and you could do that with a lease, utility bills, bank statements, credit card statements, things of that sort. You're going to need anybody who owns more than 20% of the business is going to have to provide their name, their social security number, phone numbers, emails, ownership percentages, photo ID. Again, anybody who owns more than 20% of a business. You have to prove your number of employees, and those with your NYS 45, and those are things businesses file on a quarterly basis. And then once the time comes to get the money, you'll have to have a W-9 and a bank account information. I see there are a couple of questions. Someone is asking if I could email them this workbook, and the answer is yes. I will send this out after the presentation today. So that was the state pandemic relief grant program. Now I'm going to move on to the SBA, which is a federal program, and that's for the Eidl, Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. And that's a program for small businesses to get a low interest loan that will help them cover 24 months of activity. So it's for businesses, nonprofits could also apply. You got to have less than 500 employees. You know, the loan amount is going to be determined directly by the SBA. You apply directly to the SBA. And, you know, the maximum award is $500,000. Like I said, they're going to look at 24 months of your business needs. 10%, again, they do offer, if you haven't already received one, as an Eidl advance grant. And that could be up to, sorry, $10,000. Not 10%, but $10,000. And when you talk about the rates, for for-profit businesses, it's 3.75% interest for small businesses, 2.75% for nonprofits, 30-year loan, very long-term repayment. So keep that in mind. You know, this is going to be very small monthly payments as time goes by. And then your payments will be deferred for 12 months, but your loan will continue to accrue interest. So you won't have to make a payment, but down the road, you'll have to pay for the money. It can be used for working capital, business expenses. You can't use your Eidl loan for the same purposes that you got a PPP for, so keep that in mind. This program is still open. To apply, you go directly covid19relief.sba.gov, and it's administered directly by the federal government's Small Business Administration, and you apply online. And again, all communication goes directly with that agency. Then many businesses have already applied for the PPP program. The program is no longer open, but everybody should be aware about the forgiveness. PPP is a grant as long as you can prove that you're eligible to have the funds forgiven. If you do not have your funds forgiven, then it turns into a loan. So keep that in mind. You have to have chosen a covered period of between 8 and 24 weeks. You have to have your payroll records. Yeah, the employment numbers, again, have to match up. You have to keep the number of employees except under certain situations. And then not to drop employee pay as well. And you know, PPP forgiveness, depending upon the size of your business, could be a breeze or could be a lot of documentation. If you got a PPP of less than $150,000, the SBA does have an express forgiveness criteria. But please keep an eye out for that. Speak with your accountant or your tax prep professional and work on getting that done. Just the macro ideas there, 60% of the amount that's forgiven has to go directly to payroll. Mostly about paychecks, mostly about paying your employees. The remaining 40% could have been used on other expenses like rent and utilities. If some of your loan is not forgiven, so let's just say you got $100,000 PPP, but you did not have any qualifying activity in excess of $80,000. That last $20,000 would turn into a loan. And that would be a loan that would be repaid over 5 years at a 1% interest rate. And those payments would start 15 months after you receive the money. You know, again, you'll have to start making payments on that loan at that point. So you have 10 months from the end of your covered period to apply. So keep that in mind. And if you have, like I said, a loan of under 150, if you have a PPP loan of under $150,000, they do have a express forgiveness process, and you have to go directly to the lender who you worked with to get the PPP to go through the forgiveness process. So reach out if you have a PPP loan. Reach out to your financial institution that gave you that loan so that you can get through the forgiveness process. Now, this is a program that you don't have to do anything for, but you should just be aware of it. And if you have an SBA loan, then you'll know that SBA loans are federally backed loans. You could have gotten that loan from Citibank or Wells Fargo or Chase, TD Bank. You could have gotten it from a CDFI like True Fund or Pursuit. But these were actually backed by the Small Business Administration of the SBA. There was a loan guarantee portion. And as part of the CARES Act that was passed in Washington, you get 6 months of interest-free payments, 6 months of waived payments on that. So if you have a 7A loan, a 5O loan, or one of their micro loans, you don't have to make payments for 6 months. Now, again, if these loans have been historic, you would have already had that period of time where your loans were not, where your payments were not due. But if you got one recently, issued as early as September of last year, then you should have received that 6 months of no payment. If you haven't, reach out to your provider. The New York State also has a loan fund that's sort of meant to help augment the folks who didn't get PPP in the size that they needed, and that's the New York Forward Loan Program. And it's for businesses with 50 or fewer employees, have gross revenues of less than $5 million per year, could not have received a PPP of more than $500,000, or an EIDL loan of $150,000. So if you got more than $500,000 in PPP money, or $150,000 in EIDL money, then you can't apply for this program. You have to show hardship. You have to have been in operation for at least 1 year from the date of application. You have to be located in New York State. It's $100,000 maximum, or up to 100% of your average monthly revenue for a 3-month period. So it's looking to make up a 3-month gap in your operating expenses. Interest rate is fixed at 3% for 5 years. The first 12 years, your payments will be less because you'll be making interest-only payments. They will take security in the form of a blanket lien or a second lien on business assets, and the owners of anybody who owns more than 20% will have to personally guarantee the loan. And it's a fairly broad. You could use it for working capital, inventory, marketing, utilities, rent. There's many categories you can use it for, but what you cannot use it for is refinancing existing debt. To apply for that program, you go directly to nyloanfund.com. Again, nyloanfund.com, and I will be providing this copy of this presentation to the attendees, so there's no need to write all this down. Sort of moving down from government, there are nonprofits that also offer loans. There's an organization called the Hebrew Free Loan Society, and they offer 2 types of loans for small businesses. They have some eligibility requirements. You got to reside within the 5 boroughs of New York City, Long Island, Westchester, or Rhinebeck, New York. You have to have a decent credit score. They're looking for credit score of 650 or more. They want to see that you meet your debt obligations. You have to have gross revenue of less than 1.5 million, or less than 15 employees. You have to have made rent payments on time as well. If you don't have rent for your business, if you independent contractor working from home, that's fine. So then let's talk about the amounts. For loans between 7,500 and 25,000, they want to see a business currently operating and sees the cash flow needs. For independent contractors and small business owners, and loans will go up to 7,500. These are 0% interest loans, keep in mind. This is a nonprofit. They're making loans, they're mission driven. So it's a 0% application, no application fee, no origination fee, no collateral. They expect to be repaid though over a short period of time. So though you're not paying interest, you are going to be paying principal over a 24 to 36 month payment period. Though they'll give you a 3-month grace period. So the first 3 months, if you take the money, you don't have to pay it back. And then you could, again, you could use it for broad uses. And then to apply, you go directly to them. The website is there, tfaforms.com/4824201. Kiva crowdfunding also offers 0% loans up to $15,000. And what Kiva is that crowdfunding is the ability to put up your business, put up what you plan on doing. You make a presentation online essentially that outlines, and then people can go in and provide you the capital you need. It's not like a traditional application where you put in an application, you get approved or denied, but it's where you put in a lot of information that they ask, and then Kiva provides the process to crowdfund for that, where people can come online, see how you're going to use your money, see how it's going to help you, and then lend the money via that platform, and the platform provides the ability for you to repay those loans, again, at 0% interest. At non-0% interest, but other nonprofits, there's the Renaissance Emergency Recovery Loan Program. It's for businesses located in the 5 boroughs. If you're an existing business, you need to demonstrate that you have reopened post-COVID, and startup businesses have to show that they have a signed lease in order to move forward. Loans are up to $50,000, the 3% fixed interest rate, up to 84 months to repay, and they do have a 3-month of SBA debt relief available in the program. You could use it for working capital, startup costs, debt refinance. You know, they're very flexible. Applications are open through 9/30/21. You could apply online, and again, we'll be sending out this presentation. If you need more information on Renaissance, info@renaissance-ny.org. Bring Back Brooklyn Fund provides no interest recovery loans. These loans are open to businesses in Brooklyn. And there are some criteria regarding it, but the basic idea is it's up to $10,000. There's no fees or anything like that, but it's a 2-year repayment period. And you apply directly with the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. And we'll be sending this out. You should look out for this. If you're in Brooklyn and you are going to be reopening, it's a good program. Harlem Entrepreneurial Fund. You got to be located in Harlem, Washington Heights, Inwood, or the Bronx. They do small business loans of up to $150,000 or credit builder loans of up to $5,000. Small business loans are 1 to 5 years, 4 to 12% interest rate. Credit builder loans 6 to 12 months, 12% fixed interest rate. Again, it's pretty open with the use of funds, working capital, marketing, equipment, machinery, leasehold improvements, inventory purchases. The credit builder loan is a great product. Again, if you're located in these areas, if you have compromised credit, they'll still make you a small loan. Like I said, your business would get a loan of up to $5,000, but that would go on your credit, and your good payments on that would show on your credit report. So if you need assistance building up good credit, this is a good program for that. True Fund. This is a loan program open to Black or Hispanic small business owners. It's called the Entrepreneurs of Color Fund. And you have to have been in business before August of 2019. You must have been in viable business before that. So it couldn't be losing large amounts of money. You had to have been a viable business. And the loans go up to $75,000. 3% interest rate, no application or origination fees. It's a 60-month type of loan. And it takes about 2 weeks to get it. And then again, they're pretty flexible about what you could use the money for. But the way to apply is truefund.org. So there's a question here. Let me see that. Yes, we will be sending an email out. So don't worry, you'll be getting all this information. Columbia, Harlem Small Business Program, Small Business Pivot Loan. This is really exclusively to businesses located in the zip codes you see here. You have to be a storefront. It's really for independent, locally owned businesses. Loans go up to $50,000. Interest rates 3.75, 60-month loan. For 12 months, you get a grace period, which means that you don't have to make the payments, but interest will be accruing. And then after 48 on-time monthly payments, businesses become eligible for 50% loan balance forgiveness. A great program. If you're in those zip codes, definitely check it out. Have that conversation with them. We'll be sending this out so you can go there. If you do want to look it up, like I said, you could either search, it's a long URL, but I'll be sending this out. Columbia, Harlem, Small Business Pivot Loan. So now that we talked about the various programs that are out there, let's talk about applying for a loan. The kind of things a lender wants to know is, what are you going to use this money for? Why do you need this money, and what are you going to use it for? So you have to be able to answer those kind of questions. They're going to ask you, like, can you afford this money? So yes, I make enough money in my business to be able to pay this loan on a regular basis. And then the question is, this loan will make my business better. Why? And if it does, how will that then translate into more money to be able to service the debt? So again, they're really going to be focused on, can you afford the monthly payments? They want to know that, hey, this guy just took out a $100,000 loan. He's got $3,000 monthly payments to make. Can he make those payments based on criteria? So they're going to want to see that. They want to see that in your tax returns, various documents. Some programs are more flexible than others, but overall, most of them want to know that you have the ability to repay. Especially loans that have those interest-only periods or no payment periods. They want to know that once things go back to normal, there is a basis for the payments in full. And then think about timing. Think about, what it's going to take to get this loan approved. You don't want to be calling for a loan when you need it tomorrow. So if you do need a loan, you have to give yourself a heads up. So how long will it take to get the loan approved? Every lender is different. How can I adjust my budget if the loan is not approved by the time I need the funds? Again, thinking through, hey, I know I need this money in 2 weeks, but there's no way I'm going to get a loan in 2 weeks. What am I going to do to cover the period of time between that 2 weeks and when I actually need to get the money? And then, when every lender has their own rules about terms and fees, and you got to really look into that. Before you sign a loan document, you got to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. So we have an online calculator that you can go ahead and use. It's available on the website, quickly loan-repayment-calculator.net, LIFY.app. And what that will do is it really will just ask you a couple of simple questions, and it asks you the interest rate you pay, the number of months, if there's a deferment period, and then the total amount, and then it'll tell you what your monthly payment would be. So a good way to think about it is, the longer you have the money, the more it's going to cost you in interest. So on a similar loan, example A, someone borrows $50,000 with a 5% interest rate over 5 years. Your monthly payment will be $945, but you will pay approximately $6,600 in interest over that 5-year period. So the $50,000 you took is really going to cost you $56,600. The second example, it's the same $50,000 loan and the same 5% interest, but it's only over 2 years, which means your monthly payments are going to be much higher. They're going to be more than double, $2,194. But in the end, you're only going to pay $2,600 in interest. So again, it's going to cost you $52,000 instead of $56,000. And if you have the ability to pay it back quicker, it definitely makes sense, because in the end, it really will cost you a lot less money. So when thinking about debt, always think through the structure of it, the terms, and how long it takes to repay when making those decisions. And then, so, what should you expect from these financial institutions when you go for a loan? Definitely going to look for your tax returns. It's going to be both business and personal tax returns for, I would say, between 1 to 2 years. Often they even ask for 3 years. They'll often ask for your profit and loss statements and balance sheets on your loans. And then they may want to see projections even on those. They're going to want a personal financial statement. A personal financial statement asks you to outline the assets you may have. So how much money I have in the bank? Do I have a retirement account? Do I have a car? Do I have a home? Do I have a vacation home? Do I have any other investments or things of that sort? This is going to ask you about your debt. Do you have credit card debt? Do you have a mortgage on that house? Do you have a loan on that car? And then it's going to sort of tally that up. And it's going to say, okay, when you look at the cash he's got in the bank and the house he owns, that's $500,000. When you look at the fact that he's got a $350,000 mortgage and a $50,000 loan on his car, that's $400,000. So he's got $500,000 on assets, he's got $400,000 in liabilities, and therefore you have a personal financial statement that says you have a net worth of $100,000. That's really what that is. I speak with a lot of businesses who get hung up on the personal financial statement. It's really just a document that outlines your full value, your full net worth on paper, and folks shouldn't be afraid of it. It's really not that big of a undertaking. And then business documents, they're going to want to see your articles of incorporations or bylaws. Definitely going to want to see photo ID of anybody who owns more than 20% of the business. They're going to want to see most recent mortgages or rent statements, things like that. And then utility bills often do come up as a requirement. Keep in mind, each lender is different. Every lender has their own determinations on what's best for them and what they'll need from each business. And it may not even be the same from every business. If you need any further assistance, you could always go to our website and sign up for a one-on-one consultation. In order to do that, you go back to SBS Connect. You log in, and then we go through a series of questions. We're going to ask you what you need help for, general financing, and then we'll ask you some intake questions, and then we'll sign you up with a one-on-one with a counselor who will reach out to you and then go through the process with you. So what I would tell you to do is, you should have an SBS account if you've signed up for this webinar. If you don't, go ahead and do that. Make sure we have your email address on record and everything relevant. Again, select general financing assistance. That's really where you want to be. You want to be in the financing intake page if you're interested in financing a grant. After you submit your request, give us a couple of days to be in touch with you. And if you don't hear from us, what we ask is do not submit a second request, because it's not going to change the process. Generally, take a look your spam folder or junk mail, because often emails from us may end up there, but we will have someone reach out to you. And I'm happy to take any questions that we have out there. Please put them in the chat for the Q&A. I'm more than happy to discuss. Oh, here we go. We got one question. That's a very specific question, Elizabeth. I think definitely go. You could definitely go through our website for the request, and depending upon where you're located, one of our centers should reach out to you. What I would say is, if you're opening a new business, which it sounds like it, you want to have real projections in mind. You want to come forward with not just I need this amount of money, but detailed list of how much it's going to cost for everything and anything you're going to do. So that's the kind of thing you really want to think through. And I'll be sending this out. You'll have my email as well if you need anything. So we'll be happy to take each request at its on its own merit. And again, depending upon where you're located, a different rep will reach out to you. Look, I thank everybody for joining us today. Like I said, we will be sending out a copy of this presentation, so look out for it. And then you'll have my email. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. Depending upon where you're located, like I said, if you're in the Bronx or if you're in Brooklyn, then it would depend who would be reaching out to you. We're based here in Queens, in Jamaica, Queens. So if any of the attendees are from that area, hopefully our organization will reach out to you. But if it's a different area, then we'll go through the New York City portal and you'll have someone in your area reach out to you. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great day.